I'm Shirley Mosier from the PFAFF Creative Sewing Center, Lacey, Washington, and Sound Sewing, Silverado, Washington. And today we're going to do a demo on the PFAFF PowerQuilter 1600. Let's show you some things about it. The PowerQuilter 1600 has some upgrades from the prior PowerQuilter that we had to offer. We still do have full light LED light banks around the whole needle bar area. But what also has been added is a full light bank inside the free arm area. It is still 16 inches long, that's why it stands for the PowerQuilter 1600, and it is still quite tall in here. It still comes with a bobbin winder, and then it also comes with a package of needles, the M-size bobbin, a cleaning brush, an Allen wrench for changing your needles and your pressure feet, a screwdriver for changing the tensions on your bobbin case, the bobbin case of course, the table with stitch regulator, and a open toe foot. What comes installed on it automatically is the ruler foot. The table is fully adjustable from sitting to standing height. It also can be ran with a foot control on the floor or a start-stop key on the machine itself when using the stitch regulator. The regulator is now built into the table. Let me move the quilt so I can show you that. This right here on our table is actually a stitch regulator. So we have them plugged into, this is an insert into the table which is plugged into the machine. We show you this during the how to set up your machine video. Now let's get to know the screen a little better. Now on the screen here we are in manual mode right now. And so we have a couple things going on. First of all, in manual mode, right here you'll see where I have 800. That means right now my speedometer is set at 800 stitches per minute. So with my foot control going all the way down to the floor, that's the max that I will be able to sew on this. In the manual, they do talk about how this machine can go up to 2100 stitches a minute, quite fast. I have never taken it up that fast. I don't feel comfortable with it. I do mine usually anywhere between 600 to 900 depending on what I'm doing. So because of that, we have what are called presets here. So these are presetted speeds that I am comfortable at, that I have set the machine at. Now this is the store's machine, so this is where we have the store one set. And so anytime I want, if I want the 550, I touch 550 and my preset has come up to here. I can also override it and change it, and I can simply save it by changing it to what I want and press the save key, and you'll see how this preset has now changed. A moment ago in this video I told you that the start-stop key, which is right here, only works in the stitch regulator. That was the prior machine. I misspoken. You can use a start-stop key right on the machine, which is also known as a pause play key, at any time, whether in your manual or your regulator. The predecessor machine only allowed us to do it in regulation, so I do apologize for that misinformation. The next thing we have here is this is our bobbin indicator to kind of let us know how much bobbin is left. We have not set this up in our machine yet, but you can set up recordings at different bobbins, meaning different thicknesses of thread, to know about when you may run out of thread. Right here is our needle up, needle down, so where the machine is going to stop, or you can press it by holding it and the needle will go up and down as requested. And then my new favorite thing on here is also this number right here, which says 190. The 190 is actually indicating how much weight I have on my tension dial right here. So our upper tension is now regulated by an actual number, and I can see where that number is at any time. Whereas our prior machine, it was kind of like a guess, so we would have to turn it left or right to make it tighter or looser, and we didn't know if we were getting near where we used to be, because different threads and different thicknesses can change your tensions. Also just different weather days. If you've gone from really, really hot to really, really cold, there are some things that could change your tensions. Now I can go to my regulate by just touching my regulate, and that means that now these two sensors down here on my table would regulate my stitches by watching my quilt, which is really cool. I find it's very accurate. I really like it. And how that works is I have right here how many stitches per inch you want your stitches to be. I generally like to have mine between about 14, 15. That's just where I like it. Then I have two modes here. I have precise, which will allow me to when I start to move the quilt, if I was on this one, you'll notice that this down here all cleaned up, and as soon as I move the quilt, it will start stitching and giving my regulation. Or I can have this one, which means when I step on the foot control, I want it to start sewing, and it's going to regulate up here how many stitches per inch, but it also uses down here what's called a cruise speed, which can be set anywhere between 50 to 1100 stitches per minute. So it kind of like you are telling it about what speed you're going. That's how I can describe it, that I move comfortably at a certain speed, so then I have this set at a certain number that I feel that it regulates with me better. When you come in for your classes and your help with us, we will go into that in more detail with you. So we still have the poundage weight here, we still have the start-stop key, and we still have the needle up, needle down, and the bobbin indicator. And again, it's not an indicator, it's a timer. The only one thing I don't think I explained was, let me go back to manual, is right here is the baste. I have baste right here where I could tell it that I want to do basting, and it will hesitate the needle to either stitch every half second, 3/4 second, 1 full second, a second and a half, or every 2 seconds. And I will demonstrate that so you can do a basting on here, which is actually really cool. We didn't have that before either. Let's go into our settings real quick. So in our settings, we have a lot of different things we can use here. First of all, I was talking about the bobbin low monitor, and that's actually set right here where I can go in and set my recordings. It looks like we have played with it a little bit, probably just showing it in our classes. However, it is not set up correctly. But you could, what you do is you put in a full bobbin and you tell it to record, which looks like we're having it do right now. And then when you get done and you run out, you come back in here, you stop it, and touch one of these to actually save it. Then you would tell it to reset back. Well, I would tell it this is what I'm doing, and I'm resetting it to this one, and I would put an alarm on it. So it's going to regulate how far I've gone in from that recording, and will give me a guidance of I might be running out of bobbins soon. It is really cool, and I really do like the fact that we have that option. So if I go back in here, the next thing I have is a timer. So this one allows me that if I am wanting to know exactly how much time I'm putting in a quilt in actual time, I can actually press play and it will record. Every time I have the machine in movement, it will record that in movement. So I could turn off the machine, come back a week later, continue working on the quilt, and it will keep doing this recording. So you can see how much actual full physical quilting time you put on the quilt. And you can also tell it to count your stitches. How many actual stitches have you put on? And both of these are actually resettable. Okay, so really neat if you're doing this for a business, or if you just are curious like I am. I like to play with those. Okay, let's go back into the tools here, and then we have a alarm. This alarm has two options. First of all, we have an alarm up here that if I am outpacing my regulator, which I have never had this happen to me, and I have the alarm on, is if I start outpacing my regulator, it's going to give me an alarm sound to let me know that I am outpacing it, that I might have to do some adjustments. Down here, I can actually set alarm to work with my timer to be able to tell me, let's say I want to only quilt 1 hour today. That's all I have time before work is 1 hour. I can set this on and set it for 1 hour, and it will tell me when I've reached that hour. Now again, this is for the timer. They're just two different alarms here. So now let's go back in, and this is for the light. So now if I come over here a little bit to show you this, is I can turn off the lights. That's the light in the free arm, and I can turn off the light at the needle bar. I can also change the brightness by turning these up or down. So let me come over here. So that's on the free arm. See how I know it's kind of hard to see, but I am playing with that brightness. And we have ours turned down pretty low right now. And I think that's just because I was doing some tone on tone, so I was doing like black on black, and sometimes that's hard to see if your lights are too bright, and so you would turn them down so you could see them better. So now I have them fully up. Next thing we have here is the calculator. So you have a full calculator on here. I've used it to balance my checkbook. I don't use it for what it's meant for. What it's actually meant for is if you need to mathematically figure out your placing with your ruler work or your squaring up or anything, you have a calculator always here at your fingertips. The next one we have here is, excuse me, is this one here, which is Diagnostics. And this is actually really for the dealer to use. The manual does go into it a bit, but not as much as what the dealer has to work on your machine. So we just don't go in there except for our mechanics. Then down here you can set for different languages, and it tells you by basically the flag what you're on, and there's 4 different languages. And then this one here is for updates. The machine is updatable for like the screen or the sensor codes or anything like that. So let me show you how this machine works. Alright, so what I'm going to show you is the basting mode. So we're going to touch the basting, and then if I plus over here, it'll change where it's going to baste. So I'm just going to show you a couple of these. So let me do 3/4 of a second. So if I come down here to my machine, I'm going to do a needle down to bring up and a needle up to bring up my bobbin thread. And then I'm going to step on my foot control, and as I move and pull, every 3/4 of a second is going to stitch. So the basting is based on how much I pull versus the hesitation of the striking of the needle. So if I came up to 1.5 seconds, see, I could get bigger stitches, okay? And it's just a great way to get some, if you want to baste your quilt, great way to baste your quilt and it's already set in. That is one of the newer features, which I do truly love. So I'm going to turn that off. The next thing I'm going to do here is I am going to take it into manual mode, which I have done, and I'm going to put this about 750. And then just show you now, if I use my foot control, I will be able to do freelance quilting or meandering or fills, whatever that you like here. And so what we would do is, let me cut my threads here from the basting I was doing. And it's always good habit to bring this up. So again, I'm going to just do that needle down, needle up, so I can hold on to that thread, know right where it's at, and then I just step on my foot control, and now I am going to move. Now, my stitches are based on how fast I am moving versus the speed of the machine. So let me bring you guys a bit closer here. And I might have to change this thread color. Now you guys can kind of see it here. Is I am moving way too fast. So I am going to change my thread color. You guys can't see that very well. I'm going to go change it to red. I'll be right back. Alright, so now we can see this better. So if I put this all the way down and I move at my normal speed, you can see how I am actually going too fast for the machine because I'm getting these really, really large, we call them toe catcher stitches. So I'm going to bring my stitch regulator up to 900. And now when I stitch, the machine's going faster, but I don't change the speed of my hands. Now this is more accurate for me. So I am more consistent. My stitches are a little bit smaller, actually quite a bit smaller, but not to the point that they're too small. Okay, but they are different sizes, and the reason why they are different sizes is because I am not using the regulating feature. So to use the regulating feature is really, really easy. Let me just bring you guys back up here so you guys can see this. Is I simply am going to go in and tell it that I want to regulate. Again, I like about 14 stitches a minute. And I think that's about where I'm normally at on my pace, is 275. And again, you do get a comfortable speed. I like to have the setting here where it's going to move as soon as I step on the foot control. I don't like to wait for it to actually wait for me to movement. I find I have too much of a hesitation, and that's just how I move. So that's why this one works better for me. So let me get you reset up so you can see how the regulator works. All right, so now I'm on regulate. So I'm going to step on my foot control, and now as I move, you'll hear it speed up and down. The reason why you're hearing it speed up and slowing down is because when you move, you get different. You move differently. I move faster into a curve one way than I do another. So again, it's regulating me. So I get in my circles, my spirals. I can slow it down to do what I'm used to, you know, so you can come and do and concentrate on and concentrate on what you're used to doing. Okay, it's a little bit difficult to do around a camera, but you're getting the idea. And now my stitches are more uniformed. Okay, now if I was outpacing the regulator, that's where the alarm would come on and tell me if I was outpacing it, so I can make the adjustments that I need. Now if I turn it on to the precise, that's the one that won't start until the cruise control's off, that won't start until I start to move. So I'm going to put my foot down, and now as soon as I try to move it, see now it will go. And then when I stop moving, see how it instantly stops? So this is actually meant for more fine-tuned, little teeny work, okay? So I'm not as good with this because I find that I get a bigger stitch in the beginning because I tend to try to move really fast because I'm used to this cruise speed one right here. So this one moves as soon as I step on the foot control. Okay, and so now with this you could also do ruler work. So it comes directly with the ruler foot from the company. That's the one that comes directly on, and again it comes with the open toe one as well. We do carry in our store the Westerly. We do like to use the quilt rulers by Westerly, and this one I'm going to do is a Spinifex Feather 8. I know it's hard to see, but this is what it looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now raise my needle, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut my top and bottom thread. I'm not going to worry about nestling them or anything, because now I'm going to come over here to where I have drawn this diagram here, and this has to do with using this flower. So what we are going to show you how to do is this design right here. So these flowers right here, I know they're in yellow and it's up sideways. There we go. So this is all done using that template. So they're full flowers, and then we did some detail work inside and stacked them around and stuff. So to accomplish this, we do have ruler classes in our store. To teach you how to do this, of course, you would come in with your household machine. You wouldn't come in with this guy, but you could do everything on this guy, which is nice. So what I'm going to do is, it does have a key here that you could take and open the key to put this in, but I just lift the foot and put it in. And just to show you how easy these are to work, I am going to start in the center here. Okay. And again, I'm going to bring up that bobbin thread. Then I'm going to go ahead and put that back down in. I'm not quite in the middle. Let's get in the middle. There we go. Then I bring the ruler in, and then I'm putting my lines of my ruler on the lines I've drawn, and I'm just going to come up and then back to my other place right here. Okay, now that I've done that, I am going to go ahead and clip my threads in there. Then I just bring the ruler around and line up my next lines. Okay, and there we go. If I want that little feather that's inside, I would just turn this a little bit and come up and put in a little feather work. Then I come around and turn this again and lock it in on my lines, and just the reason why the machine's surging like that is because I'm trying to move fast, and that's why it's doing that, because it's trying to regulate me. So I'm just going to keep going all the way around, and I'll show you what it looks like at the end. Okay, now here I am getting ready to put in the last work of it. Then I'm going to do my feather here. And then I didn't get one here because I didn't do it on the first one, so I'm going to get that in here too. And then I don't think I put one there as well. All right. So again, I did this with thicker thread so we can see. But then what we do is we would take this out. And there it is. There is my feather. So that's doing the ruler work. And we have lots of different rulers that you could do. And I also did it with a stitch regulator. You could do it manual or with a stitch regulator. You can free motion work. You can, again, run it by stitch, run it by cruise, do fine precise work, do basting. And then there's also some other feet available, like a straight seam foot. You also have an echo foot for doing echoing around motifs and stuff. And then there's a specialty free motion foot for being able to guide and glide with appliques that you have done. So there are some other feet that are available. Now let me show you some things we have done. Here we did is the Quilt Diva. So on the Quilt Diva is a sample of the echoing that we did around the motif. So there's a sample doing the echo using the echo foot. On her background we did a stippling, and then up here, it's kind of hard to see because I matched my threads a little too well, is the feather. So yeah, feather and a spiral quilt. Up here we actually did, again, yellow on yellow, it's a flame. And over here we also did kind of like a spiral on that side. Let me see if I could show you another quilt that's easier to see on. Now this is a class we did with our embroidery machines, and the decorative stitches you see were actually done in the hoop by programming them on our machines. And then I used the Spinifex curly cues to quilt. So in the center I have these curly cues. Then off to the side here I have swirls. Again, very hard to see. I do apologize for that. Let's see here. If I turn it over, nope, that's even worse. So hopefully, I think you see the center there, the swirls. And then come over to the side here. And I do all my straight quilting also by free motion by using the straight rulers. I never feed them anymore. Okay. This one here was done by one of our employees in the Silverdale store. And this is one of the first ones she did on her quilting machine, where she did free hand work of her feathers and pebble work. So this is all free hand work as she did on here. And then did circles around and quilting. And again, this was her first one, and she did a really good job. And then she used a straight ruler to do ruler work. And then again, free motioned everything else. This one, let's bring over here too. This is one block I really do like. All that free motion work she did. Again, on the sit down quilter. Okay. Now I'll show you one more ruler work. Here are two more quilts I want to show you. So if I come up here to my Bargello, what we did on the Bargello on this machine is we did the feather work. And I did use the feather templates, but I did this feather work in here using that machine with the stitch regulator. So you can really see them right here using different feather sizes to make them fit. Then over here, this is actually another ruler class that we did on the, I actually did the class on the sit down, and this is a class we do offer in our stores and online, which is using the sampler kit by Westerly. And again, using the stitch regulator. Well, I don't think I used the regulator on this one. I just did the ruler work with the regulator off just to experience that. But I generally, on this sit-down quilter, always have that stitch regulator on. I just love it. And it's really easy to use. It never yells at me, which is nice. But these are some things you can do on that machine. Come on in and test drive it, or feel free to give us a call or visit us at our website, soundsewing.com. Thank you.